are checking back in on that freezing t-shirt experiment. We've been showing you a couple of different cold weather experiments just to show you how cold it is out here this morning. Now, you've probably seen this one before. You take the dry t-shirt, dunk it in some hot water, which we did about 20 minutes ago. And I hung the shirt here just so it would dry a little bit, but it's actually stuck to the pole. So you can see just how frozen it actually is. Broke the hanger, but you can even see some icicles here from where the excess water was flowing. So I think we can say it is pretty cold if you didn't already get that from the temperatures we've been telling you about. Today is a somber day here at Virginia Tech's campus. As you said, 12 years ago today, a gunman opened fire, killing 32 people and injuring 17 others. So today is a day of remembrance, and that started with a candle lighting ceremony. You can see that candle burning here behind me this morning.
Yeah, and as you can see, my hair's still blowing, so the wind is still out right now. I'm here on Rivermont Avenue by Oak Lane, and behind me here you can see it's still dark. That's because a traffic light is out. Down in the distance, though, there's another traffic light that's been turned back on. That's by Vest Road and Rivermont Avenue. It all comes after an electrical line between two poles snapped.
Yeah, it's been a really tough day here for the families here in the Eland community, and I spoke with the Goff family, and this is all that's left of their former trailer home off of Route 130 here in the Eland community. As you can see, there's just debris still everywhere 1 year later, and that family actually met me on the grounds here today to talk about how this past year has been and the obstacles they're still facing.
Ladies, it may be the first time people are actually seeing this competition, but let me tell you, this competition is really soaring quickly to new heights. Each year, the State Games of America just keep growing. This year, for the first time, the Ninja Challenge is in the lineup for this weekend's events, and anyone of any age can take part.
Anybody, anything can come and try the course, have their hand in it, see if they can be a ninja, and we can actually still sign up to compete.
My coach was Ninja Warrior Maggie Thorne, who's heading up the event this weekend, but there is a catch.
In true Ninja Warrior format, you do not know the course. You do not know your run order until you show up.
Meaning some of these obstacles will be on the course, others will not. So with all that in mind, I decided to give it a try. We started out with the slanted runners.
Very good.
Then moved on to the teeter-totter.
Clear.
From there, it was time for the ring thrust.
Keep throwing them.
Yes.
Good.
Get your appetite ready for the cheese wall. It's a splitting good time.
Full split.
So far, so good. Then came this. This object is to thrust your hips to propel you to the next anchor. I didn't make it. Then after some inverted monkey bars and a slick rope climb, I arrived at the rock wall. I was able to do this one before I was embarrassed once again by a rope.
Yeah, that was a good try.
My coach was proud of my performance.
That was very good.
Me, tired and a little embarrassed. But Maggie says it best.
So empowering for anyone of any age, and that's whether you're 16 or 60.
For 2018 Nissan Altima 4-door, silver in color.
For Campbell County Sheriff's Deputy Nathan Bailey, there's no such thing as a typical day.
You get a little bit of everything. You could have everything from car accidents to overdoses to domestic disputes.
But a growing number of calls that come in are for opioid overdoses. On average, the sheriff's office responds to about 100 calls a day. In the past year, 68 of those calls have been for an overdose, down just 3 from the year before.
So typically, if we get one overdose call, you can expect to have at least another 1 or 2 within the next week.
Until recently, all deputies could do in an overdose situation is monitor airway breathing and heart rate and provide CPR if necessary. But now, they're each carrying 2 doses of Narcan nasal spray.
It really is a miracle drug.
When administered, the nasal spray prevents opioids from binding to receptors in the brain and in minutes or less can reverse an overdose.
I think it's absolutely positive, especially given the fact that if one of my coworkers is exposed, I have the training needed to be able to provide that to them and then obviously to the public as well.
But there are some concerns. Deputies aren't always medically trained professionals, and it can be difficult to tell the difference between an opioid overdose and another medical emergency. The plus side is Narcan will, at worst, make a person uncomfortable if given to someone not overdosing on opioids. Then there's the added responsibility.
We're taking time away that people could be answering calls and following up on calls to go to training for more and more things. You talk about the mental health crisis and now the opioid crisis.
Sheriff Steve Hutcherson says the current call volume and mandatory training is their biggest issue right now. He also says methamphetamine is still the most commonly abused drug in Campbell County, and Narcan nasal spray will not reverse its effects, but says,
we save one life. It's worth the training and the time it takes us to train and then carry the Narcan.
This used to be the old GLTC building here on Kemper Street, but soon it will be the new home of the Lynchburg Police Department. It's something the city talked about for decades, but today, for many, that dream became a reality. It's been years in the making for former Lynchburg Police Chief Charles Bennett, 22 years to be exact.
And I was never sure that I would live long enough to see this come to reality.
But today, the first steps were taken, or sledgehammers thrown, to turn this abandoned building into a state-of-the-art facility for the police department to call home.
I truly feel like a kid on Christmas.
The multi-story building is estimated to cost $39 million and take approximately 2.5 years to complete. But it's about more than just looks. Police Chief Ryan Zudema says they're stressed right now in terms of space and adequate facilities.
We're trying to run a 21st century police department out of buildings that in some cases are 50 years old, some cases are over 100 years old.
The department has also been facing retention issues, losing 107 police officers over the last 5 calendar years, according to Chief Zudema. He hopes a better workplace environment will help keep the LPD fully staffed.
To be able to showcase a brand new state-of-the-art facility when we're recruiting people, I think is going to be great. And to have people, quite honestly, feel happy when they come to work.
Zudema says the new location of the police station will also improve response times and decrease crime in the area.
It gives us quick access to the expressway so we can be a lot of different places in the city relatively quick, and we're more centrally located.
Gary and Lacey Fink's home, the family of 7, completely wrecked by last year's tornado.
We just kind of built around it.
This was their wood deck, bolted into the ground. It was the only thing that survived intact, and you bet they kept it.
We kind of felt like this was our cornerstone, our foundation. There was still something that God left behind for us to build from.
Their old deck is incorporated into their new, beautiful home.
And when we stand on our deck, it's a whole different, it's really crazy.
It was rebuilt in 5 months by Elin Area Builders. Behind the house, an obvious reminder of the tornado will remain for years. The thick forest is missing.
And now we have a poured basement.
During last year's tornado, the Finks survived in the basement while their upper floor ripped away above them. Their new basement is stronger, concrete walls instead of cinder blocks, plus a safe room.
That was one thing my husband was adamant, and he wanted a safe room in the basement. This is our safe room.
Their safe room has enough room for everyone.
It's poured concrete all the way around.
Oh, wow.
And it doubles as storage.
Yeah, and it's
plenty of room for y'all to get in.
This is 4 times or 10 times the space that we were saved in before.
Everything in their living room and bedrooms was blown away by the tornado.
So this survived the tornado.
But during the cleanup, a few things were salvaged.
Look at the back of it.
Oh my! So
this was hanging in my dining room before.
And it still has like little dried bits of like mud or grass. This is so nice.
I know, isn't it pretty and nice? Okay, hold on, I'll get those pictures.
Family pictures were found scattered about. But a special surprise, one of the Finks' friends uncovered this picture and had it restored.
So this picture was actually on our living room wall. This was one that they found, and my friend kind of kept it and restored it for me.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. I'm George, by the way.
Good to meet you, George. I'm Cameron.
While I was talking with Lacey, her son Cameron happened to walk through. You might remember hearing about this. Right after the tornado, cell phone connections didn't work. Lacey wanted Cameron to know that she and her daughters were okay.
Y'all couldn't communicate, and so the way you were able to communicate was that you posted a picture of your house on Facebook so that he could see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that true?
That's the only way we couldn't get any phone calls out.
She hurriedly posted this picture on her Facebook page for him to see. it went viral.
And I don't even want to ask, but I have to ask, what was your reaction when you saw? I'm getting tears in my eyes just thinking about.
I almost immediately broke down crying. My one of my managers was there next to me. Super chill guy. I actually play games with sometimes. Well, he like me and was like, "Are you okay, Cameron?" And I just kind of couldn't talk. I just held him up the phone and showed him the picture, and I was probably crying for like a solid 10 minutes straight before I actually was coherent enough to actually talk to anyone about it.
I just noticed you have your tornado jeans on.
Ironically, Cameron was wearing his tornado jeans during our chat. These jeans were pulled out of the storm debris, and he's keeping them.
It almost looks like you can see the spinning action.
Humor, smiles, family life, getting back to normal. But April 15th still shows up on the calendar. We went back outside. I was curious how the family would handle the emotions of the 1-year anniversary.
How are you going to handle the 15th this year? Are you going to be here, or are you just going to?
Well, it's my husband's birthday. I know.
Oh, I didn't know your husband's birthday was the day of the tornado?
Yes, it was. His birthday used to be just tax day, and now it's actually the tornado day too. So yeah, we decided a long time ago that we were taking the whole family on a vacation this year as our way of just kind of moving on.
We've all seen it happen, or maybe we're even the ones doing it. Passing an emergency vehicle as its lights are flashing and not moving over.
Before on a fire call, I almost got hit while working the pump panels at a fire. I mean, they really almost hit me.
If you talk to a first responder or a tow truck driver, chances are they have a horror story about a driver who put their lives at risk. For Matthew Cash, it cost him his father.
Tractor trailer come through with little to no disregard with human life on the accident scene, and did not see my father standing there, and pinned him between his tractor and trailer and our truck.
Now they're taking matters into their own hands. The Lynchburg Fire Department is stocking each fire engine and ladder truck with a speed bump.
In a situation where we have a diminished lane, where we can divert all the traffic to one lane, and we're working, say, in another lane, we can deploy the speed bump across the lane and then slow people down.
The speed bump is relatively inexpensive, costing less than $300 a piece, and it's easy to use.
It's very simple. It'll take us less than a minute to get that thing on the road to slow people down.
The speed bump is safe for your car and an easy reminder to slow down. At the end of the day, these men and women are giving their all to make sure we're safe, and all they're asking for in return is a little room to work.
Every single time we go out, we have close calls.
And it's scary because I like to go home at the end of the shift, and it scares me for my crew because I want my crew to go home at the end of the shift as well.
Reporting in Lynchburg, Emily Swecker, ABC 13 News.